Hi, my name is Ashlyn Rule. I'm a senior here at Williams Baptist University, and over the course of this last semester, I've conducted a research proposal based off the research question of why do students skip chapel. The vision of Williams Baptist University is centered around the idea of teaching students how to have a Christ-centered worldview so that when they graduate, they can use that in everyday life to impact cultures, to use in their workforce, to encourage their family, just kind of in everyday life. Part of this is done through mandatory chapel services that happen every Wednesday at 11 a.m. They'll last about an hour to an hour and a half. Students are given four chapel skips per semester, and so after those 4 skips have been used, they are given fines for every chapel skipped after that. So if a student misses 5 chapels, on that 5th one they're given a $50 fine that they must pay in order to take their final exams and move on to their next classification. The common question that has been in the campus ministries department over the last few years of attending Williams has been, why do students skip chapel? And so I took this time to use the research and the abilities to find the answer. Granted, due to our COVID-19 pandemic, I've not been able to do the research necessary. I have everything ready, and I'm hoping that Williams will allow me to come in the fall and do this study. The participants will consist of the fall 2020 and spring 2021 students, and they will be emailed an anonymous, voluntary online survey that consists of 3 questions. If you want to see those 3 questions, you can go to Appendix 1. The questions are based off of their classification, and that question is based kind of on the idea of freshmen have just got to Williams, whereas seniors have been there a few years, and so the reasons may be a little different. So I wanted to kind of get a general idea for the collective classes as a whole. And then question number 2 is about how many skips they have on average. There's going to be some students, I know there's going to be some students that may only miss 1 or 2, and that's based off of sickness. And so I wanted to kind of get an idea of how often do students skip chapel. If it's 1 or 2, is it 3 or 4, or is it 5 or more times a year, or a semester? And then the third final question is the one I'm really going to target into, is why do students skip chapel? Now, those questions are based off of the studies done by Clay and Burslow in Spaces for Learning. Those 2 sections are let me rephrase that. The 2 sets of research done by Clay and Burslow in Spaces for Learning is based off of the question of why do students skip class. And so I took this research and kind of developed it into a way that you could compare the 2, whereas class is mandatory and chapel is also mandatory. Maybe they have the same reasons, and so I kind of got my questions for that based off of their research done, with a few options in there that have been asked by the campus ministries department, such as the material doesn't pertain to them, or they want to sleep. And so that's where that information comes from. The study is for the school and other private universities such as Williams that have mandatory chapel. This information could be used to engage students, to equip students, and encourage students to use that Christ-centered worldview. I think oftentimes professors are encouraged to use the Christ-centered worldview in their lecturing, and sometimes the material they're lecturing on can be lost when trying to get this Christ-centered worldview across. And so I think if we can use the material given from this research, then we can focus on the material in class And then chapel can be centered around teaching students how to have that Christ-centered worldview, so they can use that in class as well. And so my research I'm hoping to be able to do next semester. Even though I will be graduated, I would like to know like the most common reason, and so I'm wanting to be able to do this next semester. Sadly, the COVID-19 has caused a lot of halting, and actually, I remember students having an excitement about not going to chapel when the news was given that we would not have any more chapel services. And so that's kind of when the spark of this question was like, okay, this is the research I need to do. And so I'm excited to do this research, and I am hoping that my research proposal that has been given to you is going to be beneficial, even if I cannot do the study myself, but could encourage another student in future years to use this information and find out why students skip chapel, so that we can target those reasons if possible. If it's sickness for most students, then there's really nothing we can do about it. But if it's the information doesn't pertain to them, or they don't feel like they're being connected in chapel services, then we can make changes there. And so I have enjoyed this class, and I am so thankful for the opportunity to even get to do this, start this experiment. And so thank you, and I hope all the information is beneficial.